Erev Shabbos, Parshas Nitzavim. Nitzavim always lands up right before Rosh Hashanah. And there are some Mefarshim that actually call Parshas Nitzavim Parshas Shuvu. It actually says in this week's Parsha, do tshuva, come back to me. The Gemara tells us that Kisava comes right before Rosh Hashanah. Tichla Shana V'Kilele Se'ada. We should get all the callers out before Rosh Hashanah. So why isn't it right before Rosh Hashanah? Why isn't it this week? Tshuva is Lashon of Shabbos, in general. This Shabbos is the Shabbos that encompasses every Shabbos of our previous year. But Shabbos also, you can do tshuva for the whole year, but Shabbos has the entire week within it. And we don't want to have the klala on the Shabbos before Rosh Hashanah. So we do it 2 weeks before, and then Nitzavim we have Parshas Tshuva, and we get to come back to Hashem like that. But if it's Parshas Tshuva, where do we see the Tshuva in Nitzavim? Nitzavim is Moshe Rabbeinu's message to Klal Yisrael. It's Moshe Rabbeinu telling us, yeah, you guys turned green and purple when you heard the Techacha, when you heard those klalas. But then Nitzavim Hayom Kulchem, you're all standing here together as a unit, Kulchem. We know that in the second day of Rosh Hashanah, Desher says we're actually done again maybe we didn't do it on the first day as a unit, as an individual, but on the second day there's another din of how we do as a community. How are we taking care of the Rebbe Shalom's children? And that is actually, the Zohar calls it a lighter din. So the way we are Kulchem, it's what keeps us Nitzavim. Chaim Kanievsky has a question. We have 2 psukim that contradict each other. We say, Hashivenu Hashem Elecho v'nashuva. Hashem, you return us to you, and then we'll come back. Rebbe Shalom tells us, Shuvu elai v'shuvu elechem. You come to me first, and then I'll come to you. So it's a stalemate. We're both saying you take the first step. So how do we do tshuva? Chaim Kanievsky says something murderly. He says, when we tell the Rebbeinu Shalom, Hashivenu Hashem Elecho, Hashem, please bring us back to you, that is our first step. That's our move. Our whole tefillah is saying that we're nothing, we're tired, we are not who we can be, we're not who we used to be, but we miss you. We want to come back. That's our first step forward. And the Rebbe Shalom helps us. He keeps us standing. And here's just a quick ma'aseh to understand how the Rebbe Shalom helps us do tshuva. There's a yid, an avrich, who's trying to get home from Yerushalayim to Ashdod. And he's waiting for the bus and it's not coming. And he realizes that the next bus that's leaving is leaving from Tachra Markazit. It's not too far away. He runs over there, runs into the building. The place is a whole balagan over there. There's different layers and stories. And he finally gets to the spot where his bus is leaving. And instead of taking the 338, he gets on the 333. 8 to the 3, it looks similar. And he's going on a bus to the middle of nowhere, Rishon LeZion. And he sits down, he starts making his phone calls and doing his bus business. And then he gets on the highway and he looks outside the window. He's like, I'm going the wrong direction. So he goes to the bus driver, and the driver says, look, I can't get off now, but there's a stop in the middle of the highway. You can get off there, run across the street, and there's a bus that goes from that highway to Ashdod. But he said, you mamash have to run, because I pull up sometimes, and I see the Ashdod bus pulling out. So you're going to have to run. He said, thank you. That's what I'm going to do. He gets off at the bus stop, looks across the 6-lane highway, and the Ashdod bus is pulling out. His life is worth more than catching the bus. He's not running across 6-lane highway, and he just watches as his bus leaves, and he's like, where's the Yad Hashem in this, you know? But Hagufa, that's what the Yad Hashem is, right? He looks around, he's just like, he's drained, he's like, let me grab a cup of Coke. He goes into a local shop over there. It's the middle of nowhere, and the guy behind the counter sees a from Yid walk in, and he looks at him and he says, when's the Yortzeit? He's genuinely confused, and he says, who's Yortzeit? And he thinks for a second, he says, the Belzer Rebbe's Yortzeit. And the Sadvak looks at him and he says, it's actually tonight. And the guy lights up. The guy's Chiloni, he's no Kesher, no Yamako, no not. He's looking at him like, Sheikh is the Belzer Rebbe's Yortzeit. So he explains, he says, my father and I didn't have too much of a connection to Yiddishkeit. But for some reason, my father had some connection with Belz. We lived nearby, and he went to the Rebbe. And every year on the Belz Rebbe's Yortzeit, my father would take me, and we'd put on tefillin that day, and we'd go to his kever. That was basically like his, like, the reformists go to, Yeshua on Rosh Hashanah Kippur. This was his Rosh Hashanah Kippur. And he said, like, I knew sometime around now. I knew the Yortzeit was around now. I didn't know exactly when. And then you walk in here On the night of the Yortzeit, he said, I'm going to go. I'm going to go with the Belzer Hasidim. I'm going to the caver. I'm going to put on tefillin. The Hashem sent this Avrich spinning in circles, bouncing him from bus to bus, to be able to let a Chiloni guy behind the counter in a stop and shop know that tonight's the Belzer Rebbe's Yortzeit, so that he could have a little bit of a kesher. Shuvu Elai, Rebbe Shalom is desperate for us to come back. Belzer Hashem, as long as we show Hashem that all we want is to do teshuva, to be shuv. This Shabbos, the Shabbos of teshuva, Belzer Hashem, we will make it back to the Rebbe Shalom. And B'zechet Aksiva v'Chasim Ateva. Shuvu Elai, Shuvu Elai, Shuvu Elai, Be'ashuva. Shabbos.